Okay, in this video, we're going to look at some simple quadratic patterns. And what I'd like us to do first of all in this simple quadratic pattern is consider the following sequence. So 9, 12, 17, 24, and 33. And what I want to know is what is the 15th term in this sequence? Okay. So for this particular problem, the first thing we need to do is find what the rule is for this particular sequence. So step one, find the rule. And it's a bit of a long process, but for this particular one, it's an easy one, and we'll get harder in the next videos. So the first thing we do is, since we haven't been told what this is in context, we're going to create an X and Y column. And we put down 5 values of X. So we're going to work with 5 values. And then we put our sequence that we've got up above there. So we've got 9, we've got 12, we've got 17, we've got 24, and we've got 33. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'll just draw a line all the way along there. The first thing you need to do is you need to find your first difference. I'll call it the first difference. And this is where you find the difference between each of the y values. Okay, so what's the difference between 9 and 12? It's positive 3. What's the difference between 12 and 17? Well, that's positive 5. What's the difference between 17 and 24? Plus 7. And what's the difference between 24 and 33? That's plus 9. Now remember, if all of these numbers had been exactly the same, we would have been dealing with a linear pattern, but we're not. They're different. And we notice that they're going up by an even amount. So we do a second difference. And what is it all going up by? Well, we'll notice that if we take a look at each of these, the difference between 3 and 5 is positive 2. The difference between 5 and 7 is positive 2, and so on. Now you'll notice we've got the same number, so we don't have to do any more differences or anything like that. We can actually start building our rule. And what we do is, because we had a first difference that was different and our second difference came out all the same, we know that this is a quadratic pattern. And for year 10, this is all you need to know. If this was year 11, would be, if this was different again, we'd be doing something else. So what we now do is we substitute our x values into y equals x squared. Now, why is it x squared? Why is there no number in front of the x squared? Well, what we do is we take this plus 2 and we divide it by 2. And if that comes out as 1, then the number in front of the x squared is 1. We'll do an example later on a different video where when that isn't equal to 2, what do we do? So in the meantime, what we'll do is we will take y equals x squared. So we look at our x values over here. Okay, so we've got y equals 1 there. So that's y equals 1 squared, which of course equals 1. Then the next line, y equals 2 squared, which of course equals 4, and so on. Y equals 3 squared, that equals 9. Y equals 4 squared, that equals 16, and y equals 5 squared equals 25. Now, what we now need to do is, and you'll eventually actually skip that particular step, and you'll look at combining this, we now need to find what the difference is, okay, between this value here, I'll just find my pointer, between, oops, not like that, between the value that we've got here of 1 and the original number, the original y value, in this case was 9. So what do you have to do to get from 1 to 9 all the way back here? Well, you would add 8, wouldn't you? Plus 8. What do you do to get, and then we've gone to the next line now, what do you do to get from 4 back to 12? Well, that's plus 8 as well, isn't it? And so on. 9 to 17 is plus 8. And if we did it for all 5, we would notice that all of them are plus 8. And because all of them are the same, you'll notice that these are all the same. We actually stop now, and we can say, right, we can just simply take that plus 8 and put that after our y equals x squared, because at this point here, we knew that our equation started with y equals x squared, and then we came to our third difference here after we'd substituted. It's all the same, it's plus 8, so we go plus 8. Now what we can do is we can find the 15th term. And I'll just move this up a little bit. Oops, just to there. And so if we go for the 15th term, we would say y equals, and we substitute 15 in for x, so 15 squared plus 8. If you do 15 squared on your calculator, you get 225. So y equals 225 plus 8 is 233. So the 15th term in this particular sequence is 233. And I'll do some more videos on some more complex ones in a moment.